Hey guys, welcome back to your Daily Dose. Today we're talking about The Real Housewives of Atlanta, Season 13, Episode 11. So, this episode starts off where the last episode left off. So the ladies are sitting around the dinner table the last night of their trip, and they're eating the crab boil that LaToya tried her darndest to put together, and apparently it tastes good. So things were fine, everybody was laughing and having a good time until LaToya started picking on Drew. I really don't know why LaToya has it up her butt for Drew, but it's really starting to be annoying because it makes her seem thirsty. But in any case, LaToya makes some comment about Drew's marriage, and Drew responds and they go back and forth. She said something along the lines of, if your marriage was so good and you respected it that much, then you wouldn't have been playing with Bolo. And Drew responds and says, well, you were doing the same thing I was doing. LaToya says, well, I am getting a divorce. So they continue to go back and forth. I'm not sure who says it, but one of them tells the other or accuses the other of being in that room with Bolo. Now, we all remember from last episode where after the bachelorette party at some point at night, Kenya heard some moaning going on in the area or the vicinity of Candy's room, Portia's room, and a spare room. So we're automatically believing, and yes, as we should, believe that Candy was not involved. So we're left to believe that it's either Portia's room or something happening in the spare room. Kenya says that she hears it at the end of last week's episode. Marlo said that she heard something too. In any case, the whole conversation shifts from being between Drew and LaToya to everyone kind of pointing the finger at Kenya for trying to get to the bottom of this and saying how it's not cool because we are on a bachelorette trip and we're supposed to be having fun. We're all adults. What happens in someone's bedroom is really no one else's business unless they want it to be put out there. Kenya insists that it's a cash trip and you should be respectful to not do it in the home around everyone else. And then my daughter's here, which I think is all complete and utter bullshit. She knows or thinks that it's Portia, and that's the only reason why she's pushing this subject. From what I gathered from this conversation, she's implying, without saying Portia's name, without saying Portia's name in the conversation, but she's saying it in her confessionals right now. So she's putting it out there that it's Portia, and so Portia's starting to feel uncomfortable. So right before Portia gets up and leaves, Tanya, I don't know why she did this. She says, well, I was in the room all night with Portia. Why would you, like everyone says, put yourself at the scene of the crime? Everyone essentially knew that it was Portia. No one was really, pressing on the fact. But no one really thought about you. So you could have very easily, along with everyone else, just said that I was in my room. But instead you put yourself at the scene of the crime. And so now everybody's like, oh, okay, you were the other girl. You confirmed it. So that was not intelligent on her side. Portia, on the other hand, being the target of all this, Tanya's more unfortunately collateral damage, she thinks she's handling it the right way by not giving it any attention and not paying Kenya any mind. I think that by getting up from the table and walking away and saying that, she doesn't have time or energy for this, I think that wasn't necessarily the right move. I think at that point she should have said, yes, it was me, and then proceeded to tell Kenya off, because Kenya was she's really just trying to have something on you, and if you put it out there and as if there's nothing wrong with it, there's nothing that she could really get you with, if you know what I mean. Anyway, so from there we see people back at home talking to whomever they're talking to about this trip. Starts off with Drew talking to her husband about it, and really just being upfront and open about everything that happened and what she was involved in. He gets a little irritated, but then she quickly checks him and lets him know that, you disappeared. You barely want to tell me where you were. You don't want to tell me who you were with. You don't want to tell me what you were doing. So you can't necessarily be mad at the things that I'm telling you when your silence and your secretiveness, whatever you want to call it, is implying that you did, if not the same, then more. Cynthia tells Mike nothing really real happening there. Candy tells Don Juan because Todd is in New York. And in that conversation, Candy admits that she hears the noises too, but she just wasn't going to say anything. I mean, I think everybody at some point heard something or knew something was going on, but Kenya's the only one who's kind of dragging it all into the open, which is not cool. The next thing you see too is LaToya meeting with Kenya. So Kenya's doing a photo shoot. LaToya comes by and brings a cake. And Kenya in her confessional admits that she kind of put LaToya on ice a little bit because she didn't like the way LaToya didn't have her back at the trip during the trip. She brings up the dinner they had after the night Kenya didn't come down and play the games with them and hang out like she said she would. And Drew brings that up at the table, and Drew's like, you know, we all had something to say, now we're pretending like everything's fine. I think that there should be better communication here. And what the ladies were really trying to say is, we don't have an issue with your daughter being here. We don't have an issue with the way you are mothering. We understand your situation. What we don't appreciate is the lack of communication. Of course, in true Kenya fashion, she has to twist it and say that they're attacking her mothering skills. And then she pins, even though multiple people were coming at her, and not necessarily coming at her, but trying to talk to her that night, she pins the whole thing on Portia, saying that Portia is spearheading it. So that kind of seems thirsty on Kenya's part. The other reason she's mad at LaToya is because the last night of the trip, when everyone's talking about Kenya's witch hunt, LaToya is not on Kenya's side, admittedly. So Kenya is mad at LaToya for essentially having a backbone, which I think is not cool. She also admits that she has a crush on LaToya and implies that she was a little jealous that LaToya messed around with everyone else. I think that line was really just to get information and dirt out of LaToya. Like, she didn't even really need to do that, because LaToya would have told her, I messed around with Portia, I didn't mess around with Tanya, I threw up and I went upstairs. So that's that. They make up, they kiss and make up, and you know, at the end of that conversation, we basically gather that Kenya is blaming Portia for the negative conversations, or the conversations that she didn't particularly enjoy during that trip. Drew just moved, and Drew moved into Portia's neighborhood, so I'm happy to see them get closer, and I hope it leads to a new freaking fact type thing, because I like them together. So in any case, Drew comes over to visit Portia, and they're talking about this trip, and Portia just goes in on Kenya. It's actually hilarious to watch. And then Kenya's talking about her divorce. Last season did not make me like Mark. This season does not make me like Mark, but neither season made me be on Kenya's side. I want to feel sorry for her, but then the next scene comes around and she's doing something really horrible, and it's kind of like, it's the conflicting emotion. They're very, very evenly matched. So anyway, we get from the conversation Kenya's having with her lawyer that Mark filed a petition for divorce in New York, which makes no sense, because if he wanted to divorce her, he would have or should have filed it in Atlanta or Georgia. In this scene, Kenya's talking about how in their interactions outside of him being a jerk, he's also sending her love songs and making her feel like he may want to get back together. We also learned that in the petition he filed for spousal support, which is kind of crazy, because Kenya recalls how last season he says that, listen, if we get a divorce or if we break up, she can take everything. I don't want anything from her. I can rebuild it. So it's a huge difference between what he's saying then and what he's saying now. She also points out that in this petition he's asking for support, but he's not asking for custody of his daughter. So essentially where they leave off is that petition has to be thrown out, and she intends on filing before he does, the right way. So that's where this episode leaves off. I mean, it really didn't give us much, but there you have it. Season 13, episode 11. Please jump down to the comments section and let me know what you think. Did I miss anything? Let me know what you think. And don't forget to like and subscribe. I'll see you next time. Peace.